This is Tony Preston. I'm here today to talk about SBS patterns. You should review your integrative craniosacral manual first. If you will go into the anatomy section, take a look at the overview pictures, get an understanding of the SBS mechanism here, go through detail if you like on sphenoid or occiput in the detailed section. And after you've become familiar with that, and especially where the landmarks are on the cranium, then you want to move to the pattern section. You want to become familiar with the axes of motion, the transverse axes, the anterior to posterior axes, and the vertical axes. You also need to become familiar with which movements happen on which axes. So after we go through that, you will look at these pictures, understanding flexion and extension, inferior and superior vertical strain, left and right torsion, left and right side bending with rotation, left and right lateral strain, and the overview of what happens with each one of those motions. In the SBS section of your book, you will find vault holds here, which explain the basic vault holds. I'll be working with the fronto-occipital hold today. And then you'll find individual pages that cover each motion: flexion, extension, vertical strain, lateral strain, etc. In your protocols section, or the end of your SBS section, depending on which manual you have, you'll find this page which covers those motions in order as you might do them in a session: flexion and extension, superior and inferior vertical strain, left and right torsion, left and right side bending with rotation, left and right lateral strain, left and right shear, and then we follow that again with flexion and extension. Once you've reviewed the other information, go to this page and set this page to the side. I'm going to do this today with my hands on some models here. You'll need to palpate this on a real person, and of course eventually practice this on a real person. If you're not a trained craniosacral therapist and not familiar with appropriate contraindications and cautions, don't do this. You can watch this video for informative purposes, but this is intended for trained practitioners. This is the central part of the cranium. The occiput is here. The occiput is here. We'll have our hand on the lateral angles. The sphenoid is here. The temples here are the wings of the sphenoid. So we'll have our hands on the occiput and the sphenoid in this fronto-occipital hold. In this motion, there's rotation around the axes that happen. I'm simply, during this demonstration, going to talk about how your hands move in gross motions and not so much about the individual rotation, so that you can first get those hand movements down. What will happen is in flexion and extension, you will take the hands toward the feet in flexion, away from the feet in extension. In vertical strain, you'll take the top hand toward the feet and the bottom hand away from the feet in superior vertical strain, and you'll take the top hand away from the feet and the bottom hand toward the feet in inferior vertical strain. In left torsion, you will turn the top hand toward the left shoulder and the bottom hand toward the right shoulder. In right torsion, you will turn the top hand toward the right shoulder and the bottom hand toward the left shoulder. This happens on an A to P axis, going from nasion to opistheon, so you want to rotate around those axes. In left side bending with rotation, you will open the thumbs. And then eventually, after it's opened a distance, you'll feel sphenoid and occiput translate toward the feet on that side. Left side bending with rotation. On right side bending with rotation, we will open the finger side, and at a certain point it will begin to rotate toward the feet, right side bending with rotation. In lateral strain, one side moves up while the other side moves down. So in left lateral strain, the thumb side moves up while the fingers move down. And on right lateral strain, the thumbs move down while the fingers move up. In left and right shear, we simply take the hands in opposing directions, left and right. So in right shear, I'm taking the sphenoid to the right and the occiput to the left. And in left shear, I'm taking the sphenoid to the left and the occiput to the right. This is a non-axial motion. The rest of the motions happen on axes, and you need to understand axes and how they work before you practice this. You also need to understand what happens during these motions, and if you're not practiced and understand how to functionally organize the head when you're done here, don't do this. So to go over these pieces in motion, these motions again, we do flexion, extension, superior vertical strain, inferior vertical strain, left torsion, right torsion, left side bending with rotation, right side bending with rotation, left lateral strain, right lateral strain, left shear, right shear, flexion, and extension. Okay, once again, on the transverse axes, we have flexion, extension, superior vertical strain, inferior vertical strain. On the A to P axis, we have left torsion, right torsion. On the vertical and A to P axis, we have left side bending with rotation and right side bending with rotation. On just the vertical axes, we have left lateral strain, right lateral strain. Non-axial motion, we have left shear, right shear. So let's go through those again. Flexion, midpoint. Extension, midpoint. Superior vertical strain, midpoint. Inferior vertical strain, midpoint. Left side bending with rotation, midpoint. Right side bending with rotation, midpoint. Left lateral strain, midpoint. Right lateral strain, midpoint. Left shear, midpoint. Right shear, midpoint. Flexion, midpoint. Extension, midpoint. Those are the basic movements for the SBS pattern.